Girls, in Bible today, you don't have a video, and I'm not telling part of a story, but we have 3 jobs to do. So get your encounter journal right away, get your pencil eraser and yellow crayon, and let's start with the 2 jobs in our encounter journal, and then we'll go to the 3rd job that we have to do. All right, first thing we're going to do is review this poem that you put in your encounter journal. I'll follow. So boys and girls, if you don't have this page yet in your encounter journal open, ready to read, pause the video and then start it again when you're ready to read along with me. All right, take a look here. We circled the words trust in this poem, didn't we? And we highlighted the words you, because trusting God is where everything really starts. We're going to look today at this first section. They call it the first verse, these 4 lines together of this poem. And we're going to read it a couple of times today. I want you to point and follow along with yours while I read this one. I trust you, Lord, for you don't change. Now, if you've lost your place, we're starting that second line with the word. You should know what that word is. And never, ever will. Now we're starting the 3rd line with a word you should know also. You help me trust when I'm afraid. Starting the 3rd line with a word you should know. And when I'm sad or ill. All right, kindergartners, now 1st graders, I know most of you guys can read this just fine. Kindergartners, I really hope you guys are pointing to each word and reading it as I say it. That's going to really build a lot of reading skills. Okay, now we are going to switch over to the copy work we were doing. So if you need to pause the video to switch that, go ahead. I just have it right here on this other page. Now, of course, just like we did with the poem, we are going to reread here because rereading is an excellent skill for building our reading skills. So let's reread this. 1 John 4:16a. We have come to know and to trust. And I have my star here after the word trust, but I need another line. We're doing lots of lines here on this one, aren't we? Because they're so short. And to trust the love. So I need another star now. And love is one of those red words that does not follow the rules. So we just memorize it. We have come to know and to trust the love that, kindergartners, do you hear right here that TH blend the digraph we've been learning? That. And a star right there. Another line here. That God. And then we have one more short word that's really close to following all the rules, but the last letter is a little strange. The love that God has. Do you hear that Z sound there? It's not a Z at the end of the word has. It's an S. Now, 1st grade and Lily, you guys also know that usually if we have a short vowel and a 1-syllable word and an S or Z sound at the end, we would put 2 of them. But this word has a really old kind of spelling, and it's just has with 1 S. So boys and girls, this is all we're going to write today, but we are going to keep doing rereading with this. So let's go back up here and reread this together again. 1 John 4:16a. We have come to know and to trust the love that God has. And we'll finish this tomorrow. Now, boys and girls, you've noticed we're doing a lot of reading today. And that actually makes some sense because this class here is not just called Believing in God or Knowing About God. This class is called Bible. And so with this class, we are working with the Bible, which is a written book with words. So a big part of Bible is reading. There's a lot with knowing the stories and understanding things about God, but we can't study the Bible without studying its words. So we're doing some of that here. Now, this poem over here is not actually the words of the Bible, is it? However, it has some things about it, and it helps us practice a lot of words that are in the Bible. So go back to your poem. Now, I'm sorry, this camera, there we go. And we're going to reread this first verse together again. Then we're going to talk about your third job and reread this verse one more time. I trust you, Lord, for you don't change. Are you reading along with me? If you're not, pause the video, get to the poem, and be reading along with me. I trust you, Lord, for you don't change and never, ever will. You help me trust when I'm afraid and when I'm sad or ill. All right, boys and girls, as we've been studying this story about Saul, what we've really been talking about a lot is trustworthiness. Now, it's good to have trustworthy people in your life, isn't it? It's also important to be trustworthy. So today, I want you to think about some of the trustworthy people in your life. And one of the things about being trustworthy is that sometimes it's hard. Being trustworthy means you go to extra work to keep your promise even when you're tired and you'd rather not. Being trustworthy means that sometimes you make decisions that people will be mad at you about because it's the right thing to do. So being trustworthy is not an easy thing. That's why it's really nice for trustworthy people when every now and then they hear people acknowledge, you are a trustworthy person in my life. Thank you for that. So boys and girls, today you are going to be making a little note for someone in your life who is trustworthy. Now, if you want to, there are lots of fancy ways you could do this. You could cut a heart shape out of paper. We practiced that some at school. Do you remember how we folded it in half? And then we drew an elephant ear along the fold line. And then we cut out our elephant ear and it gave us kind of a heart. You could do that. You could trace your footprint and cut out your footprint. And in your note, you could explain with words if you can, or when you give them the note, you could explain about someone being someone you can follow because you trust them. There are all sorts of creative things you could do with this. But, when somebody writes me a note, I love if it's fancy. But oftentimes, just a really sweet note means a lot to me, even if it's not fancy, even if it doesn't have beautiful drawings on it or cute little sayings, it still means a lot, even when it's not fancy. So boys and girls, if you want to make your note fancy, that is wonderful. It's thoughtful. It means you're spending some time telling someone that you're thankful for them. But if all you do is just write a note, that still is a worthwhile thing to do. So today you're going to be telling someone that you are grateful that they are trustworthy for you. So I want you to think about some of the words you might need to make that note. Now, one of the things that you'll need for sure is thank you, right? If you're going to express gratitude to someone, tell them you're grateful, you need to say thank you. That's the word that we would actually say, isn't it? So I'm going to show you about writing the word thank you, which I bet most of you can do. And if you can't do the whole thing, you're really close and you just need an extra little guess or an extra little suggestion. So I'm going to be writing thank you, and I'm going to write the word trust and trustworthy. Now, if you want to copy some of these out of your encounter journal, like the words you and trust, they're already there in that poem that we've read 2 times already. But I'm going to write the whole word trustworthy out. I'm going to write the words thank you out. And you can copy them into your encounter journal if you want to. And then that way you have those words so that they're all ready to use. All right, boys and girls, I have a little space down here below my poem. So this is where I'm going to write the words for you. You can jot your words down in the encounter journal also, and then you can work on making a note for someone in your life who's trustworthy. So up here in the poem, we have this word trust a lot, don't we? trust. And Lillian, first graders, you can see it begins and ends with a blend. Kindergartners, can you hear the U sound in the word trust? Trust, w. Wise woman from the world of waves. Trustworthy, that in worthy is kind of funny, it's OR. Trustworthy. Kindergartners, do you hear that TH in there? Trustworthy, a lot of times E on the ends of these long words is with a Y. So there is trustworthy. Now, if you don't want to write this whole word out, that's a long word. That is 11 letters. You can just say, thank you that I can trust you, instead of actually writing that whole word. Then, thank you. Kindergartners, again, do you hear that TH? We have both sounds of TH right here. We have the sound with your throat vibrating, in trustworthy, and we have the sound without your throat vibrating, in thank you, but both of them are with your tongue between your teeth, aren't they? Thank is kind of a funny one. NK, thank. And we have you up here, don't we? Thank you. Boys and girls, for your work today, I want you to send me a picture of the note that you're going to give to someone who in your life is trustworthy for you, someone whose footsteps you can follow.